We didn't know that you had to write a spec script, which means you pick a show that's on the air and you write your own episode of it. So that shows that you can write existing characters, which is good for getting staffed on a show, which is what we wanted. We probably wrote 4 different shows. I mean, going back to Alice and Facts of Life, all those shows you were watching. And then we were in LA. We couldn't afford to do anything, barely eat. And one of our mentors, Gary Keeper, had a job at Paramount. And he said, oh, there's this new show. I can get you tickets, free taping. So that was our entertainment. And we went to this show during the summer before it was even on the air. And it was this crazy ensemble show about people that went to a bar in Boston. Sound familiar? We were just like, we had never seen a show like this before. And we just thought it's so smart and the characters are so layered and real. And it wasn't, a couch and a family and corny writing. And we just instantly went, we have to write the show. And luckily, nobody had heard of Cheers. So there were no Cheers spec scripts out there. We were one of the first ones. So we kind of finished the spec script as it came on the air. And then, the town went nuts with like, this is such a great show. And there we were with a really good spec script. And that changed instantly. Like overnight, we went from people not returning our phone calls to suddenly we were the flavor of the month. And everybody was taking us out to dinner and agents and we'll get you into the Playboy Mansion. And I mean, it was crazy. That first show got canceled and we did a bunch of episodes for shows. One, we wrote a Fame episode that Janet Jackson. Back then, because we were there the first year, we were creating all that. So, in one of the first episodes we wrote, just from watching the pilot, and we saw, oh, Rose tells these long stories. So we wrote this piece where Blanche goes, stop, I can't hear any more of your stories. And she tells it like in 5 seconds. This is how you tell a story, Rose. So, it was, again, being able to listen to how characters talk and see where stories develop. We were in the room when we said, well, let's name the town where Rose came from. And we're looking through phone books and we came up with St. Olaf, not knowing that would become today, such an iconic city. That's the fun of being on a news show, is that you get to discover with the actors, or like early on, Rue McClanahan came up to me and my writing partner Jim and said, really challenge my character. You don't just write silly stories. And that got us thinking. We went back to our office and we thought, well, what would be a good episode? Blanche was always about being sexually free. What could we throw at her that sex would be the easy answer, but she didn't want to do it? And that was how we came up with she was sexually harassed by her teacher at a college that she was taking night classes. And that was a big life lesson as far as us going on in any other series we did. We would always say, and that's how we came up with the lesbian kiss episode of Roseanne. What could we throw at Roseanne, who at the time just seemed liberal and cool and anything could happen to her. But that kiss kind of just shook her up and the people around her. And that was been fun to do on all the different shows we've worked on. Jackson starred in, and that was her first music video, and Debbie Allen directed it. Then we were pitching around to a bunch of different series. We pitched to Family Ties. Valerie Harper had a show, and we got a job on Valerie Harper. And then we got offered to go pitch at this new show about 4 old ladies in Miami. Again, it hadn't been on the air. It was that summer before the first season aired. And we went in, pitched a bunch of ideas, and they didn't like any of them. We're walking out the door, and I'm in the doorway, and something just said, turn around and pitch something else. And I turned around and I said, what if Rose's mother came to visit? And they were like, come in, what do you mean? And I sat back down, we talked about it, and they hired us to write a freelance episode. And that first draft was so good that they were like, we got to get them on staff. And that's how we got on staff. And then we wrote 2 more episodes with our name on it. But so again, that was not on TV. So we were there as we were writing that freelance. We would go again to free tapings. But I mean, back then, nobody thought a show about 4 older ladies in Miami would ever be a hit. That just was not what people thought. I mean, it was very much, Three's Company, and you had to be, young and, like Suzanne Summers kind of thing to be, on a sitcom. So it was a very unusual show, but it was so smart, and Susan Harris created such great characters, and they cast it so beautifully. Or that's what was so great about that show. Every single one of them was iconic, and even Estelle Getty, she had become a Broadway legend just from one show, but they were also perfect in those roles, and also well defined, very different. So we learned something too. It was like comedy writing 101 classes. And we learned early on, if you give one character a joke and it doesn't work, you never give it to another character. Number one, it looks bad for the actors. Like you're just, you take the joke, you take the joke. Unless they were on set and someone said, I want to do that joke, or it's better from you. But if it didn't work from one person's mouth, you had to throw it away. And, that really taught us be specific. I read many scripts from people that have ensembles, and they sound the same. They can't. They all have different cadence. They have, we learned with Blanche, if we gave her words that ended in ER, it sounded more Southern, like mother instead of mother, even like doctor. It just, so, you'll notice in our scripts, there are a lot of ER words in there. Over 8 years ago, I came up with the title, The Girls from Golden to Gilmore, and I thought, that's it. I love a good alliteration. And then to give myself added pressure, I spoke about it at one of the first Gilmore Girls fan festivals, which is now called the Fan Fest Society, and we meet every fall back east while the leaves are changing. This year it's going to be in Connecticut. And I announced I'm writing a book. And so the thousands of fans that attend, now they kind of, every year they go, all right, where's the book? Where's the book? Where's the book? And during COVID, I got a publisher. And then I, was stuck at home during COVID and drank a lot of espresso. And I sat down and I had kind of outlined it. And then in the book, I've been keeping journals since college at NYU. So I went through all of the journals and I pulled all the entries about all the women I've worked with. And that's kind of gave the book an arc of comparing how I felt about all these shows. I wrote a lot during, I'd go home from Golden Girls or Roseanne and write about all the struggles I was having, and then commenting how I felt about it today. So you juxtapose a very young person to now a very old, somewhat mature person, but that's what happens in life, I think.
Did you feel like within writing a book, how much different did you find that process versus writing a script or a play or teleplay?
I don't know if I'd ever do it again. It was lonely. It was hard. I find dialogue just easier to have. And then also going back into your past and looking at your life and, remembering those feelings and those struggles that we had. And but luckily what I found is during all of it, we still appreciated every single moment. On Golden Girls, being so young and being, one of the first of our group to have like a real paying job, but we appreciated every moment. We never, got big heads. It was just, we were thankful and knew we had to keep working hard in order to keep a job in the industry because, like after Roseanne, we were unemployed. I was collecting unemployment. So to go from a high to but that's a career in Hollywood, and you see so many people around you have tremendous highs and starring in TV shows and then not having anything. So I think also having a Midwestern work ethic of you know, working. And for a couple of years pre-COVID, I was writing with my writing partner 5 days a week, and on weekends writing with somebody else and writing a lot of plays. So that was 7 days a week. And my friends thought I was insane. But now I'm kind of living, uh, the trees have bared fruit, and now I'm traveling the country, either appearing in or directing plays that I wrote back in that, pre-COVID period.